Welcome back. It's episode 16, one step closer to 20. Today we're going to get into some more stories about, times where we were close or, maybe close but not that close at all in retrospect. First of all, many of you may notice he's got the hat on.
Looks pretty normal to me. I don't.
Do you want to discuss what the hat signifies?
Tradition. I was blessed with some folks from work. I think I talk about fishing too much, and I got this hat and then this one up here. So the goal is, if you catch a limit of fish or fill a tag, or really if you just want to look like a buffoon, you can wear the hat. So this weekend, I'll be honest, my brother and I went fishing and we got 7 walleye.
But how many did he contribute?
3. 4. 3.
So you don't deserve the hat.
So you lied.
No, I got. Okay, fine. But I mean, in some capacity, somebody got a limit. Yeah,
I guess if you threw enough back that you would have achieved your limit if you kept them.
We threw no fish back.
I guess we'll make an excuse because we already introduced the tradition.
Yeah. Just on a side note, which is amazing for this time of year, all males, not a female.
Wow.
And all good-sized fish, too.
Wow.
It was pretty awesome. So anyways, that's the reason for the hat.
For our friends on the radio, Dan's hat is probably about 7 inches above the top of his head, the way it sticks up.
And it's got maybe a 4-inch
yeah,
brim.
It's got a paragraph on the front, and then the one that's hanging up has probably a 14-inch brim with a normal-sized cap, and that's got a paragraph on it as well. So it is. It's quite something.
A couple paragraphs. Yeah.
They all talk about being the bane of fish in some capacity,
and being alone.
Oh, well.
Anyways, moving on.
It's lonely at the top.
Mm.
Yeah, take it off.
Generally, when you spend that much time fishing, you're probably going to be alone when you're not fishing.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about that a little while ago with the not getting obsessed with the outdoors. But on into the stories. Does someone want to go first, or should I just? Should I really just take it away?
Shooting us right into this.
Oh yeah,
it's up to you.
Go ahead.
Your show.
All right. Let me paint the picture for all you listeners at home. It's a crisp November morning, the last weekend of deer season, the last day of deer season. It is a Sunday. It's about 6:30 a.m. About 6 a.m. I roll out of bed. I grab a toaster strudel that's already been heated up by my dad, and I throw on my orange coat. And I wasn't feeling too good this day. Obviously, like health-wise, I was fine, but hadn't really seen any good bucks this year. I'd only gone out 2 weekends up to this point, like counting the one I was on, so didn't have a lot of time out there. Hadn't seen any great bucks that I like. Well, obviously, I didn't pull the trigger on any. So we were heading out. Get out there. It's about, I don't remember what time it got light. Got out there about a half hour before light. Walk into this pasture. It's about 18 degrees. There's a light dusting of snow on the ground. It was really a picture-perfect deer hunting morning. And we're walking on this cattle trail, right along this fence, running along the east-west line of this pasture. Top over this hill, drop down into this pretty wide draw, some light shrubbery on either side. And I sit down right on this cross fence where it meets the east-west fence, and then it's a north-south fence, and lean up against this post, and I start glassing, and my dad and... Was he there?
Yeah.
My brother was also sitting behind me, and we were just going to kind of wait, watch the surroundings wake up and see if we couldn't see some deer moving, because it was the last day, and we'd hunted that piece of ground once before that day.
Once or twice. Don't forget about the fire.
Ah, yes, there was. The previous summer to this deer season, so last summer, there was a bad fire that burned probably a quarter of this pasture, and it was the really good quarter of the pasture for deer hunting. Like there was this bowl of cedar trees that got burned. It was bad.
Your first deer was shot. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. A lot of memories happened there, but the burn was early enough in the year when new growth started to come up, so the deer were loving it in this side of the pasture. And we start glassing, and to our east, so our right, about 800 yards, there's a dry creek bed with some cottonwoods in it, and to our left, 200 yards, there's the hill where we came over, and probably 20 minutes into us sitting there, so just enough for my feet to get cold. I'm take my eyes out, my binoculars, and I kind of turn to my right, and I just see this buck hop out of this creek bed and start walking up the east-west fence, like pretty much right at us. And I kind of just, turned around and I got my dad's attention. I pointed, and I looked at it again, and it wasn't a last day type of deer, but it wasn't a first weekend type of deer either.
It was respectable.
It was a respectable deer, but it wasn't anything crazy. But I was beyond willing to shoot, so I laid down. This deer somehow didn't see me do that, and he walked pretty much straight up the fence line. I assume he was looking for does, pretty much to like 150 yards of me. And the only mistake I made, I'd say, was he was quartering towards me, and I probably could have waited a little bit longer and got a better broadside shot. But if he would have been straight broadside of me, it would have been like 80 yards. So anyways, I go, meh, stop him. Perfect shot. Goes down instantly, legs up in the air. I start celebrating, and then I see him pick his head back up, and I'm like, well, great. I spined him. I got to walk up there. You finish him. And so I'm kind of like, picking up my stuff and, whatever, like closing the bipod on my gun, and my dad's watching him, and he walked up to me and stuff, and we're just sitting there, and it's been like, 5 minutes, and we kind of wanted to like wait and see, what this deer would do, if he was going to like, if he had enough to stand up again, or if he was going to, like die on his own, terms, as weird as that sounds. And it was like probably the 8-minute mark.
It was a full 12 minutes in. This deer was on his side, just doing the death twitches. And then I still don't understand how this happened to this day. It stood up and testosterone
and started running. Pretty much looked like it was uninjured, right back to the creek bed where it came out of 400 yards away. And I'm standing up with my rifle on my back. So I get surprised. I lay back down as quick as I can. I didn't do any like breathing or anything, so obviously I missed the last 2 shots of my rifle. This deer gets back down there, and I just turn on my dad, and I'm like, what just happened? And none of us ever saw it run out of that creek bed, so we assumed it either, ran through this pasture inside this creek bed or died somewhere in there. So we spent the next 3 hours
at
least looking through this entire pasture. We found 4 drops of blood, and probably 3 of them were where it was initially laying down.
Yeah.
How my shot felt, from where I was holding on the deer, my best guess is I obviously I didn't spine it, or not to the extent where its back legs didn't work how it normally works. My best guess is I hit the shoulder bone somewhere, and my bullet got stuck in the shoulder bone and just did not ever pass through to the vitals.
I think that deer was dead. The one detail that you didn't mention is when we walked in, we got busted by this doe.
Oh,
and
I did forget about that.
Yeah, it was a hot doe. You could see her tail going nuts, and that's that buck walked right at us. Like that story you had. It wasn't like he was, because that doe was behind us and she was just kind of looking at us. It was one of those days that even, and this worked. This kind of was terrible in that. So he shoots that deer, goes down so we can't see it in those cottonwoods, and then all of a sudden, up to our right, probably 500-600 yards away, there's a buck with some does, and then to our left, probably half a mile away, there's another buck with some does, and it was muley, and all muley. So we're like, which one could this?
I had an any buck tag.
And it was we talked about that, but I felt really bad because I've had 2 deer go hooves up on me and they were dead. I mean, stone dead. I've never seen that, where the thing just dropped, boom, and then just sitting there waiting for it to die, and the reason the other thing that was amazing about it is we were in this burned out area, so we were in. I mean, you could have putted on this prairie. Right. There was no grass, no cover, no nothing, and there's 3 of us. So we just get in a line, and my one son was behind me. I got behind Gentry, and it was like, well, this is either going to happen or it's not. and it happened, and
then it didn't happen.
And then it didn't happen. And that
was my second buck tag ever. That was every other time I've shot a deer in my life, it's died in probably 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like stoned instantly. Other than this year. But that was the first time, obviously the first time I ever lost a deer. That was my second buck ever. It was it wasn't a great day, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I was feeling pretty low for most of the day, but I mean,
honestly, I was wondering if
it's a bad feeling.
That was bad enough where it was like, Jesus, you gonna want to hunt, deer hunting, and I knew you were gonna, but that's one of those you don't want to have that happen. The first time you shoot a deer or something, you try to get the best possible scenario, and there was nothing wrong with that scenario. There was
it really was probably the best possible scenario you can ask for a last day type thing. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a rush running shot or anything. It wasn't a stupidly far away. It was 150 yards.
Maybe 3/4 of a mile from the pickup. It was
we did not walk far at all, no.
So what was the caliber and bullet you were shooting?
It was a 243, 100 grain. I believe the brand of bullet was Winchester.
Sure. Do you know what type? Like what kind of point or anything like that?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
It isn't a nozzler, but it's like there are some kind of higher end bullets.
Sure.
Because
I don't know the exact.
That was last year.
I know the grain and the brand. I don't know the tip.
Sure. Well, that's one of those things that a lot of people get fussy about when it comes to rifles is, not only calibers and bullets, but like your different types of bullets are designed for different things on impact. And I know guys that say, when the bullet that I shoot impacts the deer, I want it to explode. So 100% of that energy from the bullet is going into the deer and not coming out, Well, then myself and my dad are more in the camp of like, I want 2 holes. Like I want for blood and just for, making sure that bullet's penetrating all the way. I want that bullet to hold together so that it passes through and comes out the other side. You can definitely successfully harvest animals like with either, but it's you kind of have to pick and choose your shots a little bit more. Like you might be a little more successful getting through a shoulder blade on an animal. While caliber makes a difference, but if you have a bullet that's going to hold together like a bonded bullet or something, probably a little safer. But then if you go up to you're shooting a 300 PRC that's got a 215 grain bullet going, 3,000 feet per second, like even if that thing explodes, if it hits a deer's shoulder, it's going to obliterate it, and that deer's not going anywhere. So, I mean, and I know that people like to get, really curious about the specs, the weapon, because they'll hear a story about, a 240. Well, now I don't think you can shoot a deer with a 243, So, and, it's all personal. I mean, I shot my first deer with a 243. It's a great caliber,
Yeah.
So there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but I was just curious.
Yeah, I saved the shell. We saved the shells for reloading.
Sure.
But I don't remember the specific type.
Do you guys do your own reloads?
No, I would like to. Basically, the only thing that I'm missing is large rifle primers, and still
hard to find.
Yeah, it's still since COVID, I haven't been able to. You can find, obviously brass is no big deal. The rounds themselves, you can find those all day long, but large rifle primers and powder too. The specific powder, they carry at Shields. I'd be able to get it, but anyways. Have the dies, have all the things, but I just haven't really pulled the trigger.
It is an expensive pastime to get into. Like if you don't have any of the gear, I mean, it takes quite a bit of stuff. And if you want to be really precise, so you can be extending those ranges and shooting better groups, and like you got to spend some money to get the good stuff. You can't go on Amazon or Temu and get the reloading, cheap.
Yeah,
like you got to go get Hornady or RCS or something good like that if you want to. Well, I mean, from what I know, I don't reload, so I'm here spouting off about.
I was gonna say
what you need, but
we
I don't
know
really
people
know
who
that
have
much.
the reloading kit. So
Sure.
every time we've done it, we borrow their stuff. But those experiences are few and far between because apparently rifle primers are really hard to find.
Correct.
So other than what you mentioned about patience waiting for a better shot to be presented, what did you learn from that experience?
Definitely don't count out the survivability of the game you're chasing. You know, those things are built to survive no matter what the conditions are. So, you know, definitely make sure that you're finishing your game, whether that's a bird, a deer, whatever it is. You know, they're built to survive, so you have to obviously compensate for that.
Don't listen to your dad. That was me totally, just like, I still cannot believe that thing got up. And it was a good life lesson for the boys. It was like, fellas, this is what testosterone does to things. Because that I guarantee you, if that wasn't during the rut, that buck would have died right there.
Right.
That thing it was like, I need to find me a gal. Right? That's why he got back up.
Well, and it's hard because, you know, you guys said you found a few drops of blood, so I'm sure this isn't what happened, but I've heard stories about people that, you know, they get buck fever or whatever and shoot a deer like in the antler, you know, and it knocks the thing clean out and lays there, and they think that they put a great shot on it and dropped it in its tracks, and then the thing gets its wits about it and takes off running, you know. So there's, you know, it's definitely there's a lot smaller margin, or I should say a bigger margin for error with a rifle versus like archery equipment.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of there's more places on a deer where you can shoot it or any kind of animal for the most part where you can shoot it and it won't die than it will.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that's why like a guy like me, I take a 300 Win Mag out. It's definitely more gun than you need for a deer, but it's nice to be able to have a little bit of that like assurance, like if I do get off a little, like if I put one through the guts, you know, chances are this deer's not going to go very far. It's going to bed down because, you know, but that's the thing, like a lot of guys with deer, you generally aren't super concerned about follow-up shots, especially if you drop the animal.
Yeah,
you know,
and that was the one thing that I wasn't even considering. Like I picked up my gun and I was like, you know, obviously taking the clip out or whatever, and like I was ready to go like start butchering, and then I kind of after 5 minutes I looked up again and I was like, it's not dying. Like as weird as that sounds, that was definitely something that was I guess interesting for me.
That's one thing I would say, because I haven't had issues with it myself, but I've heard plenty of stories like that, is, you know, for anybody who might be getting into it or doesn't do this already, when you knock down a big game animal, or a turkey for that matter, because it can happen with them, like it's not as important with turkey, but when you approach the animal, even if it hasn't moved in an hour, you know, and it's laying there stiff as a board potentially, like keep that gun loaded and keep that gun in hand when you're approaching. You know, you see the guys that poke the eye or poke the back hip or something when they that's not like, that is to, you know, make sure that animal's completely expired, but it's also like being, you know, physically ready in case, you know, something like that happens. But when you're at longer distances, I mean, even if the animal does get up and you're ready, like you said, it's really hard to be able to put those shots on them when it's rushed. So
yeah, anyways,
not to add insult to injury.
No,
I got plenty of stories that I've got, you know, ready to go that will make you probably feel a little better. I hope. But
who's next?
Where you want to go? I feel like
sure. There's two that come to mind for me that are, I think I mentioned them last week or week before, kind of in passing, but that really just sting, like to remember. You know. They were both great experiences, like really memorable and fun, but, you know, it's overwhelmingly like a negative memory in some ways because of that. Like I failed, you know. The worst one, in my opinion, was I was bear hunting in northwestern Montana with a buddy of mine. We took a long weekend, and we were like, you know, a lot of times guys don't bear hunt in the mornings because the bears are more active usually later in the day. So we were like, we brought the shotguns and the rifles, and we were going to go try to find some turkeys, because we had turkey tags for that unit, and we were going to go, you know, after we turkey hunt for a couple hours in the morning, we go look for bears. So we went out kind of in this area that a buddy of mine, a different buddy, had suggested to me, and we're walking these old, like kind of abandoned logging roads, because a lot of times the bears will feed on those logging roads, because similar to a burn, it's, you know, there's less canopy, so it gets more sun, and those benches on the hills will collect some moisture from those roads, so you'll get a lot of like new growth, like really nutrient rich grasses and plants and stuff. And a lot of times they'll be surrounded by berries and things like that the bears like. And so we're walking these logging roads. We see some elk. We're picking some morel mushrooms. Like, it was a great weekend. We're having a good time. And didn't see any bears whatsoever. And we had 1 day left, and we're hiking down the mountain, kind of trying to come up with a game plan, like conversationally talking like this. Like, we were 400 yards from the pickup. Like, we weren't really trying to be super stealthy or anything. And all of a sudden we come around this corner and kind of sloping down, and we hear this crashing in the timber, like right next to us. And so we swing around, and I see this like kind of cream colored butt basically like going through the trees. And I'm just, my first thought is it's an elk, you know, because they kind of have that color difference on their back end. And so my first thought is it's an elk, because I can just see like the color through the tamaracks and the pines and stuff. And then busts out of the brush this big blonde black bear, just a stud bear. And there was, you know, obviously no cubs around or anything like that, because we could, other than that spot that the bear was tucked into, it was fairly open. And there's this big, not big, but probably a 20-foot kind of jagged up and down rock face going up that we had just come down around. So we were just above the bear, didn't know it was there. And then there's like a switchback in the road, and we were on the lower side. So the bear runs up and climbs this cliff like a rock climber, just whoosh, goes straight up the side of the cliff. And there's this little flat, like I think it was 7 feet or so below the top. And the bear stops and is standing with its front paws on the cliff. And it's looking at us, you know. And that was the first time that I had ever had a shot opportunity on a bear. And it's 60 yards away, right? I ranged it after the fact, but it was right there. Like, this bear came out of the brush 25 yards away from us, you know. And I had my gun up and ready, and I'm in my head, I'm like, I don't really know how bears react when they get spooked. Like, it's different with every animal. You got whitetails where generally they won't stop, or if they will, it's very brief, and then they take off. But then you have mule deer that'll run 100 yards or 60 yards, and they almost always stop, stand broadside, you know, check you out for a second, and then bound away. So I'm like, I don't know what this bear's going to do. So in my head, I'm like, I got to get a shot off before he goes up over the cliff. And so I throw my gun up, and, you know, admittedly, I rushed it. I, you know, saw hair in the crosshairs and found the bear's head, you know, and as fast as I could, just dropped below the head and just punched the trigger. And bear goes up over the hill and takes off and disappears like almost immediately. And I'm like, that's probably not a good sign. Like, I don't think the bear would have just been able to bound up over that.
Yeah. Over that. Yeah.
But I have heard that bears are really, really good at soaking up shots. Like, a lot of times you don't see the same kind of reaction with a bear with guns particularly that you would see with like a deer. Like, there's a very signature, like, depending on where you hit, you can usually tell how you hit the deer based on the way their body reacts. Like you said, spine shot, that hind end will drop. Yeah. Or the mule kick or whatever it is. And so I didn't see any reaction whatsoever. The bear left, and so me and my buddy, we kind of stand there, we're listening to see if we can hear some crashing. Didn't really hear anything, and so we start working our way up. We went around the top and then dropped down, and I figured out right where the bear was standing. And I thought it was a decent bear, but I didn't really know. And I got down to where the bear was standing, and I put my hands up like on the rock, like right where the bear was, and I ranged, like I had marked the little spot in the road, so I knew where it was. I ranged at 60 yards. I put my hands up, and I'm looking up, and the rocks were like another foot or two above my head. And I was like, that was a big bear. Stud. Yeah. That was a big bear. And so that, you know, adds a little insult to injury. But we're looking around, hands and knees, like blood, hair, fat, anything. Yep. And there's just nothing. And granted, it was, you know, it was springtime, spring bear season, so the good chance the bear doesn't have any fat on it. But anyway, couldn't find anything. We spent till dark, then another hour or half hour or whatever it was searching that night. And then we got up the next morning and looked for 3 or 4 hours in the rain. It was pouring rain, which isn't helpful. But yeah, but we're going through all this thing, and I'm like, man, this is gonna suck if I run into a wounded like 6 or 7 foot black bear, you know, that's 5 feet away from me, tucked into the brush somewhere. But end of the story is we never found the thing, and it was, I would confidently say, the most beautiful creature I have ever seen. Like, that split moment where I saw it, it was like, I don't know. I think there's a name for the color phase that it was, because black bears aren't just black, especially
Cinnamon?
further west and
Or is
further
that-
north. Cinnamon's kind of a reddish
Like the red
brown.
one?
You have chocolates. You have obviously black bears. You have blondes, which is more of
Yeah.
what this bear was. But this bear had as towards his extremities, his fur like faded to black. Like his feet were almost pure
No
black,
kidding.
and his face was real dark. And his, but the top of his back and down his sides was just like this perfect blonde, like cream color. I mean, it was an incredible animal. And I still can see in my head as I'm telling the story that bear standing up there, like as I was raising my gun up and seeing it go through the brush and then stop right there. And I'm just like, it kills me to think about it. And that it was as simple as that. It was a rushed shot. There was no reason that I should have missed. Like I'm at 60 yards, probably not shooting hardly any, because that bullet's going to rise out towards 100 because we're zeroed at 200. But at 60, like it's probably about on. And so, and even if it was off 3 inches, it's still, there was no excuse, right?
Yeah.
And so, I was devastated, and we ended up, we looked for turkeys. We the next day, a little bit before we went looking for the bear, and just like kicking me while I'm down, we set up camp off the side of this Forest Service road on the National Forest land, and just threw our tents up right next to the vehicle, and had our mountain house supper and whatever.
Yep.
And woke up early the next morning, and I could hear turkeys calling as soon as I got out of the tent, and I was like, nice, like we're close.
They're
What I
gonna
mean?
get something.
At least we can maybe get on some birds. And I'm standing there getting ready to go, and I was running a little bit behind, but I'm like starting to walk towards the timber to try to get closer to these birds that I can hear calling, and all of a sudden they start coming out of the trees. And they flew off the roost right over top of me, like off the side of the mountain, right over top of me, out into this kind of meadow that was closer to some private land. And for those of you that don't turkey hunt, that was like, it was over at that moment. I was like, there's no way I'm getting on these birds, because now they're out in the wide open. Plus they obviously probably saw us, our whole campsite. So I cruised around looking for turkeys I was just crushed. I was like, man, at least I could, I was hoping at least I could turn up a bird, but yeah. And then we looked and found nothing, but, that's probably the number one I wish I could have back.
Do you think you clean missed or just?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't really know.
It's hard to tell when obviously
I could have hit something where there was just no blood came out. But I mean, I was shooting that 300 Win Mag with, I think I had 180 grain bullets. If it would have hit that bear, I mean, even if it wasn't like a super vital shot, I would imagine there would be something we could have found in terms of hair, because I knew exactly. It wasn't a question of I think the deer or the bear was in this area. I was standing, my feet were where the bear was. Mm-hmm. So I was like, if this bullet hit, there should be something here. Granted, it's not a 100% thing, but they were. I mean, and the way, like I said, the way that the bear just took off, totally fine. And another thing too, to add to that, is after I shot, there was probably a 3-second period of time where the bear stayed there. And that was another indication that it probably wasn't a hit, because there was that pause. And I didn't really process that in the moment, but when after the fact of talking about it with my buddy, and that was what I kind of learned in that moment, was and I don't, maybe other people have other experiences, but maybe these bears aren't necessarily as quick to take off when they do stop, like a whitetail would be. So, I haven't been in that scenario since, but it's one of those things, if I get into that situation again, I'll probably slow down, take my time. And just because I say that, the bear will probably bolt, immediately, and I won't get it. But if I was a little faster working the bolt, I could have maybe even got another shot off.
Yeah.
But I just was not
those are
prepared
always hard,
for
though.
that.
Those, we've talked, those running shots are, I mean, some if that's your second shot, but yeah.
Right.
Those are, and so you were obviously shooting up too, right?
Yeah, it was a decent angle up. I actually scoped myself on that one. The 2 times I've shot at stuff, or 2 of the times I've shot at stuff freehand. It's the only time I've scoped myself, other than little bumps here or there. But you have that angled up, so the eyepiece is closer on
closer.
The top is a little bit closer, and I'm holding the gun pretty loose, And so I got myself pretty good, and I was like, man,
That 300 is an arm cannon.
Again, to add more insult to injury, I was, had blood running down my face and nothing to show for it. So yeah, I think they're mostly faded now, but I got a scar from that one. Yeah, that was there for a while. So just reminded me every time I look in the mirror.
I got a question for you. Gentry mentioned it.
Sure.
Do you guys have this is total rando. Do you have a go-to for breakfast in the morning? Like that
Ooh, this is a good one.
Because we always do, this is, shout out to Mom.
This is if you have access to a toaster.
Yeah.
If you don't have access to a toaster, they're
toaster
not good.
strudel, we go through way too many toaster strudels in the morning.
Sure.
So anyways.
It's good, carb up, get the sugar, you're going to burn it. A lot of times I don't really eat much. I've tried to move away from that because I know, I've felt that I need more, better nutrition on those days where I'm out all day and walking 10, 12 miles. So I've been trying to, force myself to eat because I don't normally eat breakfast anyway, which I also should change. But a lot of times I'll go for a banana or a Cliff Bar, something that's going to provide some sugars for, throughout the day. And I've been more intentional about putting more snacks in my bag, to eat throughout the day. And when I get a break or a quiet moment or something, forcing myself to eat something just because it's so easy to not eat. And for me,
especially when you're busy doing glassing.
Oh yeah. I don't even
stocking.
think about being hungry. I think your body just goes into a reprioritization mode where it's it may sound silly, but I truly believe there's some part of our brains that, if you're really hunting, not riding around the truck, looking for animals or walking tree rows, but if you're out away from the vehicle, there's some survival instinct that kicks in, even if you're not in a life or death situation. I think that we still have some lingering instincts that it's my body, I'm hunting for food. Mm-hmm. So my brain, without subconsciously, is going, you need to focus on getting food. So we're gonna suppress this hunger because even if you do have snacks in your bag, the instinct is telling you you're not going to be able to eat until you harvest something. Yeah. So I think because if anything else I'm doing, I'll get hungry throughout the day. But if it's an all day hunt for anything, I just 9 times out of 10 I don't even really get that hungry.
And I same thing, and this one always catches up with me. I don't drink anything. And so it'll be the end of the day. I'm like, man, and I never get headaches. And I'll be like, why do I have this pounding? Oh, because I had a glass of water in the morning, and that's it. I have water with me all the time.
Yeah.
But did I drink it?
The number one way that I've found that fixed that for me, because I was the same. It was too much of a hassle to take my pack off and dig out my water bottle and stuff like that. Is I got a hydration bladder, a 3-liter Camelback that my pack has a pocket for it. Now, the caveat to that is they are extremely maddening when it's cold because
they freeze.
I even have an insulated tube, so the rubber's supposed to be somewhat insulated, and then it has a neoprene wrap around it, and they still freeze. And so a lot of what I've read is you have to, if you put warm water in at the beginning of the day, the water will cool off when it's cold, but it'll help prevent that freezing from happening. Yeah. And then the other thing, is when you take a drink before you close the valve to blow air back in, so that way you push. And so I try to do that this year, but I just wasn't as consistent with it. And the danger of that is you have a cold day and you don't do those things. It could be 10 a.m. and you don't have that water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, it's not like you don't have any water. I mean, there's been times, every time that's happened when I've been thirsty, I'll dig my pack, I'll pull the thing out of my pack and just drink from the bladder itself. So it's not like you're screwed, but it's
not
something
a
to be
situation,
aware of.
But it's annoying because you have to take the 5 minutes or whatever to dig it out of your pack and then not spill on yourself so you don't get cold. And then,
But that 3-liter pack is awesome because I think the most I ever did was last year in a day I was archery hunting and checking some trail cameras, and I covered the entire property the main one that we hunt. And I had filled the thing knowing it was going to be a long day, and I think I still had half a liter of water left.
Yep.
because you are trying to conserve it to an extent. You don't want to chug it in the morning and then find yourself, but I felt like sustained. Like I didn't feel like I was like parched or I was rationing my water so much that it was getting to me. And that got me through. And it was, it was a warmer day, and I was, basically on my feet. I think I did like 15 and a half miles that day. And that was enough to keep me. So
what's your favorite Mountain House meal?
Ooh.
I haven't had a ton of them.
That's a great
I'm
question.
trying to think.
That's a great question.
I think it's the pasta primavera one is pretty good.
I don't think I've had that one.
There's
I haven't had many either, but like
I think my favorite one is, I want to say it's chicken teriyaki. And the reason that's my favorite, it's good to begin with, but I have a special memory with that one. I was with the same kid, actually. We were elk hunting, and I shot a grouse with my bow. And
in the air? Or
no, it was in a tree, yeah. Shot a grouse with my bow, and we were kind of checking some spots, so we went back to the pickup and kind of reconvened for the afternoon, going into a different area because we weren't seeing much sign. And I cleaned the grouse, and then we climbed a mountain, got up on top of the mountain, and that's where we made camp for the night. And built a little fire and threw the grouse breast on a flat rock that I found that I like put in the fire and got it nice and hot, and then threw it on there. Didn't have any seasoning. You can bring little salt packets, and a lot of guys do that, or a little canister of like oil or something. I didn't bring any of that because we just had the Mountain House meals, but I just diced up that grouse breast and threw it in that chicken teriyaki Mountain House meal, and I swear to you, it was the best meal I've ever eaten in my life. After climbing a mountain and the scenery and all that obviously added to it, but like, man, I'll tell you what, it was so good.
And you're hungry.
Oh yeah, starved.
Yeah.
The hunger factor makes them so much better than they should be.
Well, that, and everybody who fishes or hunts and eats what they take will say, or even farms, like, and you farm your own, like, it tastes better if you put work into like having that food. So even if it is a grouse breast, like I threw one of the breasts in the meal, and then I ate the other one, just diced it up and just ate it. It was plain.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, this is the best bird I've ever eaten. In this moment, this is the best.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I would say that's my favorite one, mainly because of that memory. Because it was like I said, it was like the best meal I ever had. But there's quite a few good ones.
My favorite's just spaghetti.
I thought you were going to say beef stroganoff.
The beef stroganoff is a good one too.
I have bad memories of the beef stroganoff. It was
okay.
It came back up.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah, that's something that, like, it sounds kind of silly, but it almost, if you've never had those before, like, everybody's different. It's almost like you probably should try a couple of them just like in your house, just to see how they settle with you, because like,
it wasn't like a settling problem. It was like I was sick and we went into the mountains.
Oh yeah, that would do
and
it.
then it just compounded.
Just happened to be the meal when you were
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
And then a mink came by and ate it.
Oh, nice. Very
It
nice.
was really cool.
I forgot about that.
It was.
It
It wasn't a hunting trip either. We were just hiking.
I think that was before anybody, well, at least anybody around here knew what COVID was. I think we were, the boys were sick. They both got sick. That was, I suppose I can almost tell that story. That
was a fun trip.
Maybe
yeah.
I will tell that story.
I don't want you to tell that story for like one reason, and you know what it is.
Why? I mean, it wasn't you.
It was on me. Well, now you got to tell it.
Now I got to tell it.
Yeah.
So there was, we went to this.
We were in the Bighorns.
We're in the Bighorns.
Of
and-
Wyoming?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, right on. We actually, where we were was in.
We were in Wyoming. Because we went to the Beartooth.
Oh, yeah,
in Montana.
we were. Sorry. Yeah, I was thinking of Beartooth. But yeah, we were in the Bighorns. And so the whole idea was we were going to go out and do this. It was kind of a shorter loop, probably, I don't know, like a 30, 40 mile loop.
Every couple years, my dad and his two brothers, and then their
Not every
kids,
couple of years, every year.
Well, it was every year. Now it's every couple years. We each plan some sort of trip. So, like, the 2 years before that, we went to the Beartooths, and then that year we went to the Bighorns, and a couple years after that, we went canoeing in Arkansas, like some sort of hiking outdoors trip,
Which
like
we got
tenting for like 4
Everybody
days.
should do that.
It's fun. Anyways, Just add context.
Yeah. So we get out in the first night. Like I said, I'm pretty positive that both the boys had COVID, but before we even had any idea what it was, he had like altitude sickness. Like I could feel his heart, and it was like, and we didn't, it wasn't a good situation. So we got back. So we were like, and I told my brothers, I was like, hey guys, you guys can keep going, but we're gonna just do car camping or something. So we got down, and we had some pretty cool hikes. We just kind of did some day hikes, but the last day,
I was good from the first night. As soon as we got down,
Yeah.
after the beef stroganoff, I was fine.
You just had to get it out of your
Yeah,
system.
just had to get it out of our system. So then we got, and so every night we were in town and we were gorging ourselves because you're hungry and you come back in. So this in particular evening we go to this pizza place and it's phenomenal.
It was
pizza.
so good.
It was so good.
It was so good. Anyway,
we all ate too much pizza and we go back and we get in our tents. We got these little backcountry tents, so it's a 3-man tent, and if a 3-man tent, you put 3 people in there, even and the boys were smaller, but we're still like crunched in there. And it starts raining in the middle of the night, and we're all warm. You know how that is. It's like that's outside, and I'm inside, and I'm warm. And all of a sudden, my son Eli gets up, and and I look at him, and he's got that face, and I was like, "Get out of the tent! Get out of the tent! Get out of the tent!" It was all over Gentry.
Oh man!
And keep in mind, only my head was sticking out of my sleeping bag. Yeah. That was the only part of me it got on.
Yeah. Oh, it got everywhere. I mean, all of our sleeping bags, everything. And I'm just like, and it's pouring rain outside, and it's the mountains, and it's maybe 50 degrees.
Oh yeah.
And we're just like, oh. So I get so I get outside and try, and there's vomit all over everything, and I go to my brother, give me your keys. And so we went, and I had no extra blankets. What we did, but we just had our coats. And I remember,
I remember this night very vividly.
We didn't sleep a bit, and it was like from 3:30 until 6:30 in the morning. When the sun came up, it was just like.
Because it wasn't like he got sick, like, as we were all laying down for bed. Yeah. We had all been sleeping for like 3 hours, and then he just woke up and decided it was the time. But that story doesn't really cover failing.
Yeah, it doesn't,
so anyways,
doesn't cover failing.
Get to the story you were going to
I don't know. Your brother failed to get out of the tent in time.
That's true.
Other than that,
that is probably something that maybe everybody should practice. Yeah, getting out of a 3-man, a legit like backcountry 3-man tent.
Did you have like the vestibules?
Oh yeah.
So he just had to get out the door.
Correct.
And,
yeah.
That's like the one I have.
Yeah. And all of our stuff was there because it was raining. But in any case, that would have been better than what happened. It was. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, the story.
Let's gloss over that.
Well, okay. So a couple things. For me, the best Mountain House meal by far, it's not even comparison, is the beef stew. I have
That's a good
lot of great. I have a rule with Mountain House: if it's got 2 words in the title, you're safe. 3 is borderline. Anything more than 3 words in the title.
What was that one Dakota had? It was like chicken chops chili or something.
Yeah, it had like 5 words in it. It was vile. It was just like
he was the only one who liked it, and I swear to you, I've never smelled a more vile smell than when I was sitting in a tent with him.
Oh no!
He's like, guys, I'm so sorry.
That's chili mac and beef.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I've heard some bad things about that one.
He's like, guys, I'm so sorry. I have to fart. And there's like 5 of us in this 3-man tent playing cards, and we're like, dude, are you serious? He's like, dude, I'm sorry. Yeah. And he tried to he's like 14 or he's like 16 at the time. I'm like 12. That's my cousin, my dad's son. Nope, not my dad's son. My dad's brother's son. So we're a couple years apart, and he's like, let me try and do it in a sleeping bag. So he gets in the sleeping bag, farts.
That's the worst thing you could do.
Tries to close it, and it just leaks out. It's like mustard gas in this tent. And he's like, dude, you guys should leave. We were like, why? He's like, I have to go again. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't sleep in a tent with him, but he has a brother, and then his dad were all on this 5-man tent, and they were like, dude, you're never eating that again.
Yeah.
That was the worst night.
To be fair, we warned him, and that's, we don't got to get in the detail, but unless we want to.
He gave me a bite of it, and it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it tastes good, but it doesn't matter who you are, it does that to your guts. So if you're going to be anywhere enclosed in a tent, not recommended. Don't do it.
That's the worst.
I have a rule, like I don't buy it, and I don't agree to sleep in a tent with anyone who has one, because it will do that to you.
Have you guys had any of the peak refuel meals? Because I've heard really good things about some of those, but I haven't actually tried them.
We've only tried the Mountain House.
It's the same exact concept.
It's just a different
brand. You've probably seen them. They're like black with an orange accent
I've
color
seen them,
on the bags.
Okay, no, not those. There's another one.
There's a bunch of them, but
yeah.
The only ones I've ever had are Mountain House. One time we went on one of these trips, I think it was the Beartooth trip, and he bought one of the other brand.
Sure.
And he said it was mediocre and never bought it again. I don't remember what it was.
I've had good luck with the Mountain Houses, so I haven't tried the other ones, and I haven't needed to since I moved back to North Dakota, because we just don't really stay overnight. The camping opportunities are a bit more limited here with state land and stuff as they are in Montana. But anyway,
they're. Anyways, so I don't. You guys, it's tough to follow up yours. Mine are it's kind of two stories. Same hunting trip. I alluded to this.
Do I know this one?
I went. No, you weren't there. So this is when I pulled a tag for the Badlands.
Oh yeah.
And hunted ground that I've only looked at on a topo map before. So made, we talked about this, made all the mistakes. The very first walk, my brother and I are walking in, and I'm like, okay, we just got to get to, we'll go in kind of on this side. This creek down here doesn't look that big of a deal. Just get across it, and we'll get up over there. We'll be good. There was the creek for the Badlands in the fall was unbelievably, it was like running full. So there was no getting across it. It was loud as heck getting anywhere through here. We ended up busting this pretty decent buck out of, you don't walk the brush, right? All the things that you don't do, just trying to be quiet and failed horribly. And just being really out of my element. I wasn't used to this ground. I wasn't used to anything of it. We kind of got to a spot and started glassing over the top of the Little Missouri and didn't really see a whole lot. It was and I had 2 or 3 days of that was really a bummer. Like trying to go into different areas and ground that I thought were there would be deer, and just didn't see it. Luckily, I think I've shared this. We bumped into somebody that we knew, and they were like, "I don't know why you guys are hunting over there. Come over this." It was like 3 miles away. Come over here. You for one, you're going to be away from people, because I didn't know this at the time, but we were in the river bottoms of the Little Missouri, and that's there. There's, if you're going to find whitetail in the Badlands, that's where they're going to be. Right. And it's pretty easy to pull a whitetail tag in the Badlands, or it's a lot easier than an any. So that anyway, that's where all the whitetail hunters were, and they're like, just come over here and you're not gonna see anybody. So I found this just amazing piece of ground that I can't wait to go back there. I keep telling these guys I want to go back there anytime, because there's the terrain just changes wildly within a little bit. And a different day walked into this area, and I had kind of been all around it. It's like a 6 square mile. It's like 4 miles of grasslands, and then it's two sections of like school sections, and it's just a big, massive, huntable area, plot of land, right? So walk into it on an area that I haven't ever been, and you kind of look at the topo, and it's like, well, those are some kind of gnarly topo lines, but maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll be able to find a way around it. So I kind of walk in and had this. If I can find it, I'll give you get you the pictures. One of those moon rises that is just like, it feels like that moon is like a mile away. I mean, it was huge. It was just unbelievable. Walk into these into a herd of cattle. I come over this hill and I'm like, oh no, like there's no way I'm going to get around these things, and they're not just going to bust and bust everything in the county. And I tried, and I almost got around them, and of course, they take off running, and I was like, yeah, geez. So finally get around those, walk really another mile until I find another cross fence, get over it, and I had this really cool day. Get into this area where I'm on the other side. I'm actually seeing deer on the other side of this. I will call it a canyon. It was this huge draw. And I'm like, okay, I got to get over there, and I get down into this spot that I've been looking at, and I'm like, there is zero chance I'm going to cross this. I mean, it's like at the very bottom of it, it's like a 20-foot cliff down and then a 20-foot cliff up, and I walked along it for like, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile, and there was no end in it, and it was like, okay, so if I get over there and get something, there's no getting a critter down this or up it. So it was like, you just kind of sit there and look at it and appreciate what it is, going, well, I know that there is no getting over there from here, right? And that's one thing that in North Dakota I've never been in, that like, unless you've hit the Missouri River or something like that,
right?
You can get across something, but this is the only time I've ever been. There's just no getting across this, right? You gotta find a way to walk around it where it peters out into a draw or something like that, and that's also where I started to realize, like, I gotta stay out of this cover, right? And avoid all the major mistakes. So no shots fired on and then the insult to injury. I was walking along, and I never had any reception on my phone, and I would have never even thought about it. But all of a sudden, my phone starts making this just weird noise that I've never heard it make before. Like, what the heck is that? So I'm going along, and I didn't even, like, it had been on complete silent, right? And for some reason I must have bumped it, and I look at it, and it's this guy from work calling me. And I'm like, oh no. And for some stupid reason, I answered it. So I'm talking to this guy, and he's just like, he's not happy about his total work stuff. And I'm just sitting there, and all of the, I was like in the middle of, and I don't know if you guys do this, but I was in at a 5-day hunt, and it was still one of the best hunts I've ever been on. But I was in the middle of it, and all of a sudden, all the stress and everything from work just, bam, hits you. And it was just like, I'm sitting in the middle of the Badlands, and I'm coordinating this meeting with all these people, and I'm just like, God, this is not what I want to do right now.
Right.
And it was just like, okay, well, and I still had the picture. I took a picture of this just amazing canyon. I mean, it was sunset was going on, and it's the Badlands in the fall. The cedars were changing. It was super cool, and it was like, well, are we done? Because I gotta walk out of here before it's dark, and so that was my I guess you'd call them failures, And
what, there was a name you had for that place. What did you call it?
Well, that was the sorority house where I wanted to get to. Because
it's an interesting one.
Well, there was does. Like, yeah. I found this, and every time I went there was like at least 5. The first time I saw it, there was 10 does, all throughout this draw and getting into this place. No bucks.
Yep. Just
does everywhere, and so that's kind of where I wanted to get to. I wanted to come at it from a different direction, just because the wind was different, and there was no getting to it. I was just like, well, this is. And I wouldn't call it a wasted day, because I still saw some unbelievable ground, saw a bunch of deer. But, I forgot about the coordinated meeting one.
That is one of the things that I think we talk about it a lot, or at least we have a little bit, saying like how it's a getting out, whether you're fishing, hunting, hiking, camping, whatever it is, it's a release from the day-to-day, and it's super like relaxing. In reality, at least for me, I don't feel that way like when I'm doing it, and it's not that I feel stressed about work or family or whatever it is, but like that stress gets kind of in a sense replaced with like the stresses of the hunt, the physical exertion, the strategy, all the different things. And then you don't realize how much peace that brings you until the regular life stuff comes back.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like you're not, I mean, there's been times like slow days, whatever, you have the time to sit there and think. Like my dad today, he was sitting on that deer for 7 hours. I'm sure he had some nice, you know, times where he thought about how peaceful it was, you know. But a lot of times when you're on the move and you're chasing deer, you're busy doing whatever, you're not, it's not like an active thought of like, oh man, this is relaxing, this is so nice. That doesn't mean it's not. That doesn't mean those things aren't true. It's just like you don't generally appreciate how fruitful it is in that regard until it hits you, the normal stuff hits you again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, living in the moment and really just not thinking about anything, you know, not having a phone, not having anything, but just this is my world.
Right.
And this is what I'm doing is such a I would say it's addicting. You know, you just you're not that person, that 8 to 5 person anymore. You're just like, I'm a hunter. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think it goes back to those instincts a little bit, like I was talking about earlier, that, you know, reprioritization in your brain. It's like all of a sudden some part of you thinks this, you know, you need to do this in order to eat next or to survive. And that sounds really stressful, you know, but I think that it's so much simpler than what day-to-day life is like.
100%.
That it's like, man, like this is just, like that's part of the draw of that anticipation and fear or respect for the outdoors or intensity, like all those things that you feel that are very strong, like sometimes intimidating feelings, especially I think for people that haven't done much of it or haven't done it at all.
For sure.
But there's the benefit of feeling those things. And not only does it help you, I believe, learn to not take the luxuries of regular life for granted, like running water or a roof over your head or whatever it might be.
Toilet.
Yeah, or
toilet paper.
Or a nice range that you can make your, you know, your supper on or whatever.
Actually,
like,
I want to, sorry to interrupt you, but I want to bring up a quick PSA for everyone. This was probably 4 years ago. We were hunting for one of my whitetail does out in the Badlands in the Little Missouri River bottoms. And we were walking back after a hunt, and we kind of camped at this, I don't want to say trailhead, but it was
a pull off of a gravel road is what it was.
Essentially.
It's
and
grass lines.
Yeah. And so we were camped there, and probably 100 yards, no, more than that, probably like 300 yards from where our truck is, we're up over this little rise, and we're just walking back. It's the end of the day. It's getting dark. I think we had an all right day. We didn't really get close to any deer. And I'm walking on the trail, and I kind of look up, and I'm like 14 at the time. I want to say this was my first year hunting for a doe. And I look up, and I see a wad of, like, it looks like a plastic bag sitting on the trail. And I'm like, what's this? We walk up to it. Some dude dropped a deuce in the middle of this trail, used toilet paper, and then just threw it on top and walked away. He didn't even take the time to bury it. He didn't even take the time to do it any sort of distance away from, like, it is in the middle of this trail.
And not just any trail. If you know the Badlands, it's on the Mattahay Trail. This is on the marked Mattahay Trail.
Like the most famous trail in the state.
In the state.
I forgot the.
Who do you think you are? Yeah, it was,
right.
That's the sense of entitlement right there. Like, this is my house.
I forgot the Mattahay was that. Like, yeah, we were literally on the end of the Mattahay.
It was. I don't know the end of it, but it was for sure on the trail.
Well, it was where it met a road, so I'd assume the end.
No, I mean that.
I don't know.
That trail's like 100.
It was on the Mattahay.
Yeah.
Yeah, bury it, people.
Yeah.
Or and this might sound crazy, but I've done it before. You know, bring something to take care of your disposables.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's like an empty sandwich baggie, you know, like you take care of business, you know, get rid of it. You don't have to leave it out there.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it's probably going to biodegrade, but come on.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's not that hard. Yeah.
And the plan
Prepare
should not be on the trail, on
yeah.
the most famous trail in the state.
I mean, I at the very least, I would be like, I don't want to do this here because what if some guy on a mountain bike comes over the hill?
Because, like, it was literally right over this rise. Like, if someone was walking, you wouldn't see them until you were 10 yards away from
not
me.
only would they see me, but if there's some guy ripping a mountain bike, he'd probably be running over top of me while I got my pants around my ankles.
And
that
like,
just sounds like a terrible day.
It's not like he like stepped off to the side of the trail and then squatted. It looks like each leg straddling the trail. Dropped a deuce.
Again, this is probably more than you want to know, but
I think we've already passed that.
Yeah, we're way past that. So here's the thing about backcountry camping. Like, I was talking about this with some guys at work. Like, I mean, come on, let's modern plumbing has been a thing in the last 200-300 years. So our species has been defecating outside for thousands of years, right? And it's so there's some things that I always look for when your nature calls.
A good rock.
A good rock or something that you can rest on, and you don't have to just squat for however long it's going to take, right? And this spot, to this guy's credit, it had there was like a cut bank with some pretty solid clay, so he probably just punched up on the side of this thing. And so, but it still doesn't explain, and there's no, this is the Madehe Trail, if you've ever been on it. First of all, it's marked with turtle signs, so you know it's on it. And then there's crushed pea rock, which is amazing that somebody hauled that amount of pea rock through the whole Badlands. So you know what it is. It's not a cattle trail. The
Madehe's a big trail.
Yeah.
Not like some skinny little game trail or a cattle trail.
Yeah, that's funny. I can't say I've ever seen that before. But
because I thought it was just like garbage or something at first, and I see wads of obviously used toilet paper blowing throughout the prairie 20 yards away, and I look down and there's...
Have a plan, dig a hole, do or carry it out, do something. But to finish this uncomfortable conversation, so something to lean on, soil or something that you can then bury and deal with, whatever's left over, and then a view. If you can piece all three of those together.
Oh man, you might pin that one on Onyx if you find all those things in the same place.
This is it.
I don't know if they have a little toilet pin waypoint, but they should add that.
You guys hunt down by Flasher, right?
We have before. Not
always. You know
always,
the road with the toilet on the side of it, right?
I don't think I've seen that.
I don't think they would.
I would use a toilet pin on
basically
that.
Somebody's driveway. But yeah, there's if you know the area, you probably know the family too. There's somebody it's basically somebody's drive. I mean,
it's in the ditch on the side of a gravel road. There's a porcelain throne that's been placed for
with some toilet everywhere. I'm assuming rather frequently they take out and put a half-used roll of toilet paper on.
They also decorate it.
Yeah,
they'll have a Santa sticking up behind it for Christmas.
Yeah.
They put the turkey back, the Thanksgiving colored feathers on the back of it to look like a turkey. It's
classy.
I assume they have painted it green or something for St. Patty's Day. I don't know.
I don't know if they paint it because it's
maybe they put a little leprechaun hat on it.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I can't think of a better time to start talking about God.
Me neither. Yeah,
that's great. Segue.
We've gone into it before, but I think that these failures, it's such a good reminder for humility, and it's something that sounds inherently good, and I think the intentions are good. Is I was raised not specifically by my parents per se, but all the people around me, it was very much and probably you've experienced this too, same generation, is you can do anything that you put your mind to.
Yeah.
You can achieve anything that you want to do, and you can, and then it's kind of, I think, given rise to this generation of self-help. Not that there's things wrong inherently with self-help, but it's very much self-centered from my perspective. It's very much I'm going to fix me. I don't need to focus on what anybody else does. I don't need to think about, what anybody else thinks or all that kind of stuff. And I think there's valuable parts to that, but, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day, as a Christian, it's so important for us to realize that we basically cannot do anything if not for Jesus. You know,
Amen.
like whether it's a hunting thing, it's like you get to that moment where you can't cross that gully because it's so deep, or that canyon, or, you know, you think you've done everything right and you got a chip shot at a big old blonde bear and you completely whiff, you know, or you shoot a deer and you think everything's gone great, and then some for some reason the thing magically runs out. Like,
Yeah.
you can do everything right in terms of like what you have control over, and it still might not go the right way. And, you know, sometimes, you know, a lot of times we just, as hunters or fishermen, we refer to it as luck. But I mean, I think that it's plays such a huge role to focus on like praising God and thanking God, whether or not things go right, because, you know, whether it's the physical ability to even be there, or the fact that you have a vehicle to get you to the spot, or a gun to shoot, or whatever it is, like everything that you have, the knowledge that you have, like all of those things are because of this completely, like this long, extensive tree of decisions and things that have happened, and all the things in your life, that most of which you have absolutely no influence over. It's like you would not be in that position if it wasn't for God. And I think that my point is that this attitude of like, I can do anything I put my mind to, the intentions are good, but I wish that we could reframe that as Christians to say, like, through God I can do anything that I put my mind to, because I'm not actually the one that's responsible for doing it.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
man.
That's not to say you can shed your responsibilities and say, "Oh, God's gonna take care of me." Like I don't remember.
There's a line that needs to be drawn.
I don't remember the book, but there's a parable in the Bible about a guy who basically says, like, you know, I'm not going to work or do anything, and whatever I get, I'm just gonna like tithe it and stuff like that. And it doesn't really go that well for him, because, you know, he's not focused on taking care of what's his. And you've talked about that before too. And you still have a so my point, you still have a responsibility to like do the right thing and make good choices and try to better yourself. But you wouldn't have the ability to do any of those things if it wasn't for God, and more specifically Jesus's, you know, sacrifice.
Yeah.
So that's my prerogative, I guess, is for anybody out there, is like, let's change that for the next generation to say, you know, more like the Philippians 4:13 perspective of I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me. Like that, the I does not matter if the Christ is not there, you know. So
100%, man. And it's so much more fulfilling and gratifying. We just talked about this a little bit this week on the fast and the different things that we're doing. But when you go with God in something and include Christ in whatever you're doing, you know, from I drop something on a dark floor and I can't find it, to you know, God, keep me safe. I'm gonna do a dangerous thing when I'm going out hunting, or I mean, I'm getting in a vehicle, right? You know, whatever it might be, just acknowledging Christ in all your ways, and saying, what, you know, guide me on this day, man. Your mind will be blown.
Oh yeah.
You know, and also to your point, you're going to be so much more aware and thankful for the things that God has blessed you with. You know, and you know, we've often talked about this too, but when when I go to work every day and I'm on a man-made highway and I'm in my man-made vehicle and going back and forth to my super comfortable house and all the things, it's easy to get, you know, like, I mean, look what I did, you know, look at all the stuff that I've done. But when when I strip all that stuff away, which is fake and meaningless and temporary, and I'm out in the outdoors, and, you know, I can see the northern lights, I can hear ice cracking under my feet, or I can, you know, I'm watching a deer do deer things. How amazing that is, right? You know, the created wonder that is this world, and having the humility to step back and go, this is unbelievable. In whether it's the sunrise, sunset, all the things is something to appreciate. And then, yeah, those moments when it's like, ugh, that's super frustrating, and I can't believe that just happened. I don't know. It'll be pretty cool to ask Jesus someday, like, were you messing with me right here?
Yeah.
What were you teaching
There's
me?
definitely some of those times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's kind of a cliche at this point, but, God's got a sense of humor. And I think that it's in a loving and beneficial way, it is at our expense at times, whether it's teaching us something. But, and along that same vein is like, I think one thing that's helped me a lot is not only the gratefulness, but also like changing the purpose of what I do, because it's another cliche to say like glorify God, but what does that actually mean? Like, it's pretty clear if you're standing in church on Sunday singing a song that like, that's what the angels do. They're singing nonstop, they're glorifying God. Okay. Singing. Great. Cool. I'm terrible at singing. Like, I feel like I can glorify God in much better ways. How is that, And I wasn't really sure of that. And I've learned recently that like, you can glorify God, and you should, in everything you do. And all that it takes is that you decide that that's your purpose for what you're doing, So whether it's hunting, or like a big one for me has been, if it's like that last rep on a set in the gym, something that I would be like, oh man, I'm tired. Like, this sucks. I want to get out of here or whatever. Like and it's not 100% of the time, but I've tried to be intentional about reframing my purpose of what I'm doing to like, not to look fit or to be athletic or strong or whatever. That is still there. But like in that moment, specifically when I'm struggling or when I'm trying to do something or accomplish something, like I'm changing myself to think I'm not doing this for me. Like, this is glorifying. I'm going to glorify God with this rep, or I'm going to glorify God with climbing this really steep hill to get to this glassing knob or whatever it is. Like, you can glorify God in anything if you just decide that that's your purpose for that thing. And I think too that, like, having the genuine feelings in your heart of like, that's why I'm doing this is great, and that's ideal. But there's also some value in like a little bit of like fake it till you make it. If you don't feel that in that moment, you can tell yourself like, I'm doing this to glorify 100%. God over and over and over again. And that will change your mindset and change how your emotions respond and what you actually feel. Because that's the whole thing about mantras and stuff like that that people talk about, is you can literally change the way that you think just by like consciously forcing your brain, like repeating the same thing. So that's been something I've been trying to do through all facets of life. Just to try to change the purpose of what I'm doing away from being for myself. So
I think it's really important to when you're glorifying God, verbalize it. If you can just say, Jesus, I just want to magnify you in this moment. It's not about me, it's about you. And maybe you don't feel it, but if you just go through that, or if you have that scripture that's touched you, you just repeat that scripture. There's value in that. And before you know it, like that's just burned into your. It's like that stupid jingle that gets stuck in your head. Like if you can get scripture like that, that's such a there's power there too. That I think that's God has a sense of humor. The Bible talks all the time. He's a jealous God too, right? I think there's a joy to him when we're obedient and we take these things that we love to do and we're like, God, I'm so thankful for this, that I get to go and do these different things. So
life verses are a big one, man. If you don't have one or multiple, get one.
There's so many good ones.
Get one that speaks to you.
I find more and more just in passing, like see a post online or something, I'm just like, man, that's like I can't even keep track of them all at this point. There's so many good ones.
Yeah, find one that speaks to you though. Like, don't just grab the first one off Google and put it in your Instagram bio because you think it looks cool. Like, read it if it truly means something to you. Like, there's definitely verses out there. It's like, you read it or you hear it and you're like, it's real, or that's me, or whatever it is. Find one that speaks to you, learn it, live it, do all the things.
So speaking of which, this doesn't exactly go where you were going with this, but this is one of my life verses, and it's in Psalms. So I believe David wrote this, Psalm 19, 12 through 13. It says, "How can I know all the sins lurking in my heart? Cleanse me from these hidden faults. Keep your servant from deliverance sins. Don't let them control me. Then I will be free of guilt and innocent of great sin." And I think that's one of those that I mean, I'm not going to be get super in depth on the types of sin, but we all have those things that you just kind of fall into, and you didn't mean to do it. It just all of a sudden I'm screwing up, right? Those unintentional sins, and then there's those deliberate those deliberate sins that you're just like, you know what, God, you're going to go on the shelf, and I'm going to do this because this is I enjoy this sin, and that this the psalmist here is like, I'm sorry, and you just cry out in those moments and say, I screwed up. Help me, keep me from those accidental ones, and help me stay away from the purposeful ones, right? Cleanse me from those things, and that's one of those that when you feel like you screwed up, this is the one that I go to. That's it's Psalms is so good. There's so many Psalms and Proverbs, but whether you're at the highest highs or you're at the lowest lows, it's poetry, man. That's some great stuff in there.
It reminds me of one part of the act of contrition, which is a prayer that's said pretty commonly and for a long time in history, where, and I might be getting the exact words wrong, but it basically says, "Help me avoid the near occasion of sin." And I think that's really powerful, because it's like, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm going to do what I normally do, and I'm going to bob and weave and like try to, avoid the stuff when I know it's coming and whatnot. But it's like, man, like God's power is, it's limitless. So like, why not just say, I don't even want to have to dodge it. Yeah. I mean, you're still going to have to, because it's, you're surrounded, you're a human, you're surrounded by humans. Like, it is what it is. But I mean, how amazing would it be to just be, not even a near occasion of it, nothing in your life. Like that is something that that hits me whenever I say that prayer. 'Cause it's like, man, that would be perfect. It'd be easy almost, if you could just, so, but God, he tests us, and we take every good thing that he gives us and make, garbage out of it, so, to some extent. So I mean, it is what it is. But
yeah, you wonder if sometime God looks at us like, we looked at kids and finger paints, and it's like, that's beautiful.
Right.
Like, anyways, which is about what I can paint. So
yeah, I'm right there with you. We are not artists.
I don't think anyone in here is an artist.
I can appreciate art, but yeah.
Well, you said you got some current events.
Oh yeah. On last night, I don't know if anyone here watches baseball, but the WBC World Baseball World Baseball
Classic?
Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
I was thinking conference for some reason. Venezuela beat the United States in the championship.
Seriously?
It was a nail biter.
Oh yeah.
Down to the ninth.
I'm pretty sure the US had 4 hits all night.
Wow.
And one of them was a home run to tie it in the 8th inning.
Yeah. It wasn't a great showing from the US. Venezuela wins its first WBC ever.
I was going to say Venezuela, I don't picture them as a baseball powerhouse, but are they? I'm not.
Apparently.
They beat the US. I mean,
yeah.
They're number 1 in the world for this year.
I know I'm going to offend some people, but baseball is one of those. I know it's our pastime, but I cannot get into it. It's just one of those sports.
It's a lot more fun to play than watch.
Yeah. I could see that. And anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go into the details, but I feel like we still kind of got one up on Venezuela, so I'm not too worried about it.
Well, let's not be the Canadians and the American hockey there.
We did beat Canada.
Yeah, we lost the baseball game fair and square. I'll be the first to admit that. I'm just saying. And outside of baseball, I feel like we're doing.
We beat Canada.
Oh, yeah.
We beat Canada on our road to lose it to Venezuela. So we still beat Canada there.
Oh, to add, I just saw yesterday that the sled hockey team for the Paralympics
9
won
straight,
gold.
I think.
So it's called like the Triple Crown or the something like that, because the men's,
Yeah.
women's, and sled hockey teams all won gold in the Olympics
Really?
this year.
Yeah.
For hockey.
That's
yeah.
That's our sled hockey teams. Like I want to say like 8th straight.
No kidding.
Like yeah, like they don't lose apparently.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Go
That's
US.
one thing that doesn't get, or I got to pay more attention to it, because that's the amount of grit, you might say, that you have to, that's hard enough if you're a fully functioning person, right? But if you have a physical disability in any way and you compete at that level is amazing.
It's incredible.
That's incredible.
March Madness starts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone got their brackets.
Well, you picked mine.
Well,
for
I
me,
had to
so-
fill his out for his
Yeah.
work league.
Mm-hmm.
I've made none. I might squeeze a couple in tonight. I've got a work league as well, but we'll see what happens. I generally don't have. I won one time in college when me and a bunch of buddies did it, but generally I'm bottom of the barrel on the.
I
on
don't
the
watch
success.
any college basketball.
Neither do I.
But I always fill out March Madness brackets.
Yep. You never know. You might be the one in 25 billion or whatever.
We were talking about it. I have a sports bar glass. The odds are 9.2 quintillion.
Oh, okay. I was
Quintillion.
way off. Yeah.
You have
That's
a what?
Sports marketing class.
Sports marketing class.
Sports
I believe.
marketing
Okay,
class.
There you
okay.
go. Well, there.
That's not what I heard either.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I thought you said something about a sports bar, and I was like,
I thought
what?
Yeah, I
That'd
thought
be an
sports
interesting-
bra is what I was
Be
not
an
right.
interesting class. Sorry for my enunciation. I think I picked Iowa State as your winner.
Oh.
Just
Well,
solid.
I work with a bunch of people from Iowa. They're going to be loving that.
NDSU's in it this year.
Yeah.
Barely. 14 seed, and they play number 3 Michigan State
Oof.
tomorrow at 3.
Mm-hmm.
In
You
the
never
hardest
know.
bracket, or the hardest side of the bracket too.
Yeah, if they win, eventually they'd have to play Duke, who's I think the
Yep.
best team right now, and a bunch of other things. Fact of the week time. I went over to the cooking side today.
Ooh. Is this going to be a question for the both of us?
Well, yeah.
In honor of baseball rally cap.
You don't deserve that hat. You lied about it.
Oh, we're going there.
Oh.
We're going there.
Going for the inside out.
Trying to do it. It's not really working with this
Yeah,
hat.
don't wreck
We'll
that
just
hat,
do this.
Man. That's a nice
We'll do this
hat.
version.
There you go.
There we
you
go. Yeah.
According to a website on Google, a study in the U.S. found that blank is the most common way to cook venison. So what cooking method
Oh, man.
is the most common
Oh.
way that people cook venison? So you got like your crock pots, your
Yeah, we can get it.
All right.
You know, we're just thinking. Yeah, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm going to say something different than you, even if you guess what I want.
Well, I'm gonna say, because my rationale here is most people make sausage out of
Yeah.
venison, so I'm gonna say boiling.
Okay.
I'm going to say grilling, because that's what I do the most.
Well,
Reyer got it.
oh, come on.
Grilling or pan
rally
searing. Oh, it is.
Those are very different things, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured you would have said frying, because I feel like I don't know. I've never boiled sausage before.
Really?
I don't think so.
Like how do you guys make your sausage?
Just fry it.
Just like pan fried.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the only time we boil ours is if we put it in like
Or if it's put into
No,
like
it's-
summer sausage, something like that, then we'll obviously smoke it. But then like the brats, like we'll grill
you grill
those or
those,
fry
yeah.
those.
well, so we
I've never boiled sausage before.
we
No
smoke our sausage to get it to the doneness that you want, and then you put it in the freezer, and then
The true
Yeah, it's
rally
a cooked.
cap won it.
not the falsified one.
I would
with
like
no
to.
fish limits.
Where did you get this tidbit from? I wonder if that's regional.
It was like the second article on Google.
How about this for those of you out there? Does anybody boil your sausage? I'm going to start asking. Yeah, how do you make your venison? That's a great question.
I guess I don't know if because I see all these recipes online and stuff where it's like a lot of people put theirs in a sausage, but a lot of people do like pressure cooker recipes or
Yeah.
like certain ways to grill it or stuff like that. Because it's a very lean meat comparatively to anything else.
The one thing that I really anything domestic.
Yeah.
The one thing that I really want to try, 2 things. Number 1 is like slow cooker, like braised shanks.
Yeah.
Because
Because I've always seen people do that.
We've taken the shanks and you try to cut them up for like sausage or burger meat, and you end up getting so little by the end of it that it's like so frustrating.
Yeah.
So I just want to, I always forget, but I want to keep them whole and throw them in a crock pot because I've heard it's fantastic. All the tissue and the tendons and all just melts away. Number 2 is doing a roast wrapped in caul fat.
Yeah.
So there's like a membrane essentially that surrounds like the
Did you
the
see this on
digestive
Meat Eater?
system. I have seen it
'Cause
on
I've
Meat
seen
Eater, but
this
that's not
and-
where I got the idea.
Because I've seen it on Meat Eater.
There's it's kind of like a mostly translucent membrane that surrounds like the digestive organs essentially. In any, I don't know, ruminants, I don't know if it's called the same thing in other animals.
For sure,
'cause it's
deer,
different,
it's called
but,
that.
But it's got like kind of like fat veins that run through it, and I could probably put a picture up. Anyway, you take it and you wrap your roast in it. You could do a bunch of stuff with it, but like you wrap your roast in it, and it helps provide a bunch of
like
moisture.
moisture, yep.
It's almost like wrapping it in foil, but then you're also getting the moisture from the fat
Yeah.
like melting down and stuff. So anyway, if you guys have tried it, let us know how it is after you subscribe. And then
It looks good.
and then I'm going to try it eventually when I remember to take the caul fat from a deer.
What if you did a turducken, but you used the whiz bang chicken plucker to pluck every part of that turducken? So like,
Oh, it
get a
would be
turkey
fantastic.
and- I've always wondered how they do that.
Did you guys watch the episode that I put the pictures
I did
in
see it,
so you
yeah.
could see
Yeah.
the pictures?
And he was shocked because
Cool.
apparently he couldn't picture it like in his mind for the
They're
life of him.
very, I mean, it's based on like a kit of instructions, so it's
Yeah.
very similar to what we had.
That once I saw the picture, it was like, oh,
That
now I
makes
get
sense,
what
yeah.
this thing does, but just wasn't able to visualize it.
Because I've seen online like recently like a 5-gallon bucket version of that.
Yeah, for
We're like-
chickens alone,
yeah.
that probably works for doing one at a time, but I would imagine it would still get stuck.
Oh,
You'd
yeah.
probably still have to help the thing around. It was just nice because we could throw 2 in and just let them go, and they would, be
Yeah.
done in 20 seconds. Literally life-changing invention for
Oh,
my
I would
family
bet.
for 8 years.
I gotta, it's the internet, so I gotta imagine you could see this thing happen.
Oh, I guarantee you there's YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. That might flag something because it's a little
Maybe.
bit unusual, but it's not gruesome at all. I mean, the chicken's already dead and bled.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a processing.
So
of a
it's
poultry.
just you dip it in your scalding water, 165 or 180 degrees or whatever it is, and then you throw them in there and rinse them with a hose as it's spinning around in 10, 15 seconds on the good one. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but
Every time we've plucked a chicken, I don't think we tempt the water. We just waited.
No,
till we just waited till it was really
I
hot.
definitely cooked a chicken. It was like, ooh, that one's starting to smell good.
I could be a little high on the temperature. My dad would know. I don't remember,
We
but it's
definitely
hot.
did
It's
not
hot,
measure
hot.
ours.
That's all I know. You wouldn't want to stick your hand into it.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
we had
Yeah.
these big like elbow length rubber gloves that we would use for that, and that's how we plucked them before. Is we'd take the rubber gloves and drag hands down it. But yeah, we just used. Then once we did that, we just use them for the scalding, and then throw it in the thing. And it's cooled
Bam.
off and plucked by the time it comes out, and basically gut it and take your legs off, and it's ready to go in the roaster or the freezer or whatever. So
Yeah, that's
incredible.
You know, it's appreciating. You know, when you're going to Buffalo Wild Wings, right? You know, if, hopefully you're not disgusted by this because, come on, you know, whether you're eating chicken nuggets or whatever, that's the cleanest meat you're gonna run into, right? You know, if you're
Can we
Off the
tell the
hoof.
mom story with Wendy's? Is that allowed?
sure.
All right, this will be it because we're right at our time limit here.
Yeah.
When I was probably like 8 and my siblings were 6 and 5 respectively, we went to Wendy's one day during the summer and we come home.
Can I throw a little tidbit in here?
Yeah.
So there used to be a Wendy's, if you're familiar with Bismarck here.
On Burnt Boat
On
Avenue.
Burnt Boat, right across from the McDonald's there used to be a Wendy's right there. Go ahead.
And we got back, and all my siblings got chicken nuggets, of course, because we were like, under 10. And we opened one of the containers of chicken nuggets, and there's a bird feather sitting in one of them.
Nice.
And I don't know, like, it was a fully cooked chicken
It's a sign of authenticity.
chicken tender. It was a fully cooked
That's one way
chicken.
to look at it.
Yeah, it was a fully cooked chicken tender, and there was just like a bird feather sitting in there. And I don't know how that bird feather got in there, but like my mom was livid. She like packed it up. She's like, "What are they doing? Not nice language." And got back in the car and left us at home and went back to Wendy's and then got a refund. She got McDonald's 'cause she was done with the Wendy's. And the following like fall, like probably 6 months later.
It wasn't that long later.
It was probably less than 6 months.
Yeah,
this Wendy's closed down and then the bank opened.
Yep.
And Dad's
they demoed it. So.
Yeah. And Dad's been saying the joke ever since that our mom got the Wendy's closed down.
Yeah. I love me a spicy chicken sandwich.
Hey, we still got one. To
this day, I don't understand how a feather possibly made its way into a chicken nugget box.
It was breaded and deep fried, wasn't it? Well,
yeah, it was a chicken nugget, like a fast food chicken nugget.
Yeah.
The feather didn't look like it had been in oil. It looked like a dry, fluffy bird feather.
Yeah, but it was covered in breading, right?
No, it was like just a feather.
I wasn't there to see any of this.
Oh, then it probably came from something that wasn't a chicken then.
Yeah, that's what I assume. But like I don't know if they got like a carrier pigeon in there or what. But
you're gonna be in trouble.
I probably am. Luckily, this doesn't come out for another 2 weeks. And on that note, I think we're gonna end here. Thank you guys for watching. See you in episode 17.
Appreciate you.